Welcome to the channel. Now, I want to make this very clear. There is a stark difference between the two parties you're looking at in roughly 40 days. You've got two parties that are seemingly diametrically opposed to each other. You have one party that is leaning on fascism, leaning on Christian nationalism. You have a party who is stripping away women's rights, who are stripping away LGBTQ rights, who want to institute a nationwide ban on abortion services, even in cases of rape and incest, even in medical emergencies. You have a party who is all happy that the Supreme Court ripped away women's bodily autonomy, that in over half the states in the country have some sort of an abortion ban now. In many of these states, the only way to get an abortion, if you need it, whether it's because you don't want to be pregnant, or because you've had a terrible incident, situation where you've had a miscarriage. Women are dying from this kind of stuff. There are doctors that have no clue whether or not they're allowed to perform a procedure to save a woman's life. Here in Oklahoma, Governor Stitt made it an outright ban on abortion. And sure, they left the caveat for rape and incest, but guess what? That doesn't matter in Oklahoma, because the doctors don't know what they're supposed to do. Because the state's going to say, well, you can't have the abortion because you didn't report a crime. And Governor Stitt's actually at risk of losing his seat to a Democrat who's not really a Democrat, but she's more moderate than he is. You have a party that wants to tear people like me apart, wants to make us not exist. They're trying to legislate trans kids out of existence. These are all tactics used by fascists. And then on the other side, you have a party who wants to help women have access to abortion services if they need it, wants to return their bodily autonomy to them. A party who's not trying to tear apart the LGBTQ community, that's not trying to legislate morality, that's not trying to legislate trans youth out of existence. Or in the case of Florida, all LGBTQ youth out of existence. On one side. On the other side, you've got the Republican Party. With a long litany of things they're doing, with taking away women's rights and all that, they're now mad that the current president, Joe Biden, used the Defense Production Act due to issues caused by COVID, supply chains, and a little law or executive order. It's one of the two. I can't remember if it's a law or executive order that Donald Trump passed. I think it's one of his America First pledge laws that he enacted, where we couldn't import baby formula from certain countries, Canada being one of them. So this was fixing that, right? But let that sink in for a minute. Let that sink in. The Republican Party, the pro-life party, the pro-birth party, the party that says you have to carry your baby to term even if it has died in the womb and could kill you, the pro-life party, would rather your child have died from not being able to have the formula it needed. And I can already see the comments. Well, people get breast milk. Well, guess what? That doesn't always work. For whatever reasons. I am not a doctor, nor am I a mother. So I cannot explain to you exactly why. But I have read that this is the case for a lot of women. That either they don't produce enough breast milk, it's not nutritious enough for their baby to only live on, so they need formula. And so Joe Biden made it happen. Flew in formula from overseas because we had to have something for the children, the infants of this country. Yet the Republican Party is mad about that. The Democrats want to help. They want people to have their rights. They want babies to have formula. They want women to be able to have the right to choose what they do with their body. Democrats don't want women to be run and controlled by what some old white man is telling them to do. The Democrats are trying to at least make sure that women can do what they need to do for themselves without the permission of a man. Women don't need permission to take care of their own bodies. They get to decide if they want to be mothers or not. It's their body. They're the ones that have to take all the risks of carrying a baby to term. They're the ones who have to bear all the responsibility of that. Sure, men can be there and give support. And it's very helpful, I think, to a woman probably to have somebody there. But at the same time, it's not his call. Right? It's not his call whether or not she wants to remain pregnant or not. And that's what it comes down to. But it's a stark difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. And I want to make one thing crystal clear. If the Republicans take control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, abortion rights will be gone forever. Women will start dying by the thousands, a month probably, from complications that they can't take care of. Fetuses are going to be brought to term whether they're alive or not, whether they're going to suffer immense pain before they die. Because there are certain things that are just excruciatingly painful. You're worried about pain. Then you got things like Fragile X syndrome, for example, where most don't live more than a few hours. after birth. Most died during childbirth. But it's said to be an extremely painful thing for that child, for that infant. And maybe I'm just some weirdo, I don't know. But I would rather a child not be brought into the world if their only time on earth is going to be in agonizing pain. The Republican Party is not the Republican Party of your grandfather. They are not the Republican Party of Reagan. They're definitely not the party of Eisenhower. They are now the party of Trump. They are chasing after fascism as hard as they can. And they're not going to stop. They are gaslighting the American people every day, lying about what's actually happening. They're doing things and then blaming the Democrats. The Democrats are passing things, and then the Republicans are taking credit for it, even when they don't vote for it. And I'm going to be completely clear with you, completely honest. I don't care about the Democratic Party anymore. It's their fault that Roe is gone. The Democratic Party had 40 years almost to codify Roe into law, and they didn't. That is on the Democrats. We had enough votes to have gotten it done, but we spent all of our political capital on ACA, which is a great law and helps a lot of people. But maybe we should have worked on that too before we lost what we had. Because I'm pretty sure the independent that was left there would have voted with the Democrats, would have given us 60 votes in the Senate. And we didn't do it. Ruth Bader Gingrich. She was partly to blame for this, for the situation that women of America have found themselves in. She knew this day would come. She knew for decades that this day would come. And instead of retiring and letting Barack Obama fill the seat in the middle of his term where nobody could say crap about it, she decided to hang on until Trump was elected. And look where it got us. The Democratic Party does a lot of things that I do not support. But they are far better than fascism. And if there's one thing no American should ever support, is fascism. We fought a war against this stuff. And here it is on our own shores, and we're not doing nothing about it. Just this week, Italy elected their most far-right prime minister since Mussolini. Let that sink in. Italy, part of the Axis powers of World War II, part of, joined in on Hitler's Nazi regime and killing Jewish people across the freaking world, especially in Europe. What they don't tell you in a history class is all the other people the Jews killed. Disabled people, gay people, trans people, lesbians, right? All the LGBTQ community. If you didn't fit their look that they wanted, gone. And now, a nation that was a part of that has now elected a fascist to head their government. The people of Italy have not learned. They did not learn their own history. And we didn't learn from the history where we had to go save Europe because of these sons of bitches. They massacred 6 million Jews. 6 million. What next? Germany going to start electing Nazis again? It's the same shit with a new name. Here in America, they've given Nazism and fascism a different name. It's called Christian nationalism. But it's the same shit with a new name. It's just rebranding to make you not think it's fascism, but it is. And I, for one, do not think we should sit by and let it happen. This November, show up in numbers so big that nobody can say that they lost because of cheating. Show up in numbers that cannot be manipulated. Show up in numbers that cannot be denied. It's time for the American people to stand up and say no to fascism. They're banning books. They're banning people. They're taking your rights away. Don't vote for them. Show the Nazis like Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis that it's not okay to be a fascist, that it's not okay to be a Nazi. Get out there and vote this November. And yeah, I may seem angry. That's the point. We should all be angry. We should get angry, stay angry, and vote in November. Good luck.